Hey, it's Sunday night. It's 6 o'clock. I'm Deanna Moffitt. What a week. May 2nd already. Where did April go? I'm not even sure. But I am thrilled to be here. I love doing these Facebook Lives every Sunday night at 6 p.m. And today it was just such a lovely day here in Los Angeles. Perfect temperature, easy, breezy, wonderful. Hey, I wanted to talk to you today about the ask, because all last week and the week before, I have dove deep into the idea of rejection. Not a topic that a lot of people want to talk about. I get it. There's a lot of shame associated with it. It can be painful. Hi, Tom. Good to see you too, buddy. And so that when we feel a lot of shame around our experiences about being rejected, then we can often stop ourselves and pull ourselves back from actually asking for what we want. And there is a real mistake in believing that you can create the life that you want without other people involved. It just doesn't happen. You have to be able to ask for help, ask for assistance, enroll people, get people involved in the dreams and visions that you want to create, whether that be in the business world, in relationships, in family, whatever it is. We've got to get better at being able to ask for what it is that we want. And you know what? I'm speaking to this from my own place of not being able to do this well. So I think I often teach the thing that I need to learn. So I wanted to talk about this with all of you. Maybe some of you are also experiencing that idea of not being able to ask for the things that you want in life and then what you want to create. And I know I just want to get better at this. I want to practice it. I want to have conversations around it, which is why I did the whole rejection rehab, which was such a great workshop last Wednesday. And hopefully I'll do it again. I feel like it's one of those topics that we really should be talking over and over again because there's so much shame associated with it. And we can get into this idea that no one else is experiencing the kind of, rejection that I am. But oh my gosh, everybody experiences it. No one gets to escape it. And when we start telling ourselves such stories around the isolation that can come up, we then again stop asking for the things that we want. So I'm just going to talk through these really quickly. I got 5 things for you to consider around the ask to help you get to the response that you want. And so many times, and if you're one of these people, just let me know, so many times when we start thinking about asking someone for what we want, we focus on the end result. And oftentimes the end result scares us to death of them saying no, or they don't want to do it, or we're not for them, whatever it is. And so we don't even ask. We stop ourselves. We do a little bit of self-rejecting, so we don't even ask for it. So the first thing I want to encourage us to do when it comes to learning how to ask more effectively is don't focus on the end result. That isn't the thing to celebrate. For those of us who are working on building up our ask muscles, focus on the ask itself. That is the thing to celebrate. So just like all great athletes, we want to just spend some time visualizing how do we want to feel during the ask. What is the experience we want to create for ourselves? And sometimes just focusing on the fact that, my gosh, you did it. That is the thing to celebrate. So when you're going in to ask for, a raise, a different job, a change in your relationship, a date, don't focus on the end result with whether it's going to be yes or no, or the outcome that you want or not. Just focus on the experience itself of doing the ask, and visualize yourself having the conversation, visualize the other person responding to it well, that it's an engaging conversation, and have that be your focus versus the outcome. And that is going to help us tremendously just in our ability to be brave enough to be courageous to do it. I know, Amy. I know. It's so true. Oh my gosh, we all do it. I was just doing it. I did it last week. I constantly self-rejecting, not putting myself into a place of where I think it's scary to go, for sure. Yes, yes, yes. All right. So the second one, I got 5 steps to help us get to yes, or even just get to the asking. First one is to just visualize the process, not the outcome. Focus on and celebrate the fact that you did it, even if you got a big fat hairy no, because the actual doing it is the thing that we need to celebrate, not the outcome right away. We just need to focus on doing it. The second one is the idea of interrogating your fear. So listen, what are we really scared of? Honestly, what are we really scared of? If you can go into the ask with an energy of, I got nothing to lose. I truly have nothing to lose. Even if I hear a no, what is that? Sometimes the idea of a no can really just be the start of a conversation. What are we really afraid of by not actually going through, or self-rejecting, or pulling ourselves out of actually doing it? Rejection is a game of deception. It tries to trick us to start believing that we're unworthy, we're not capable, no one else will like us, which just isn't true. So asking yourself the question of, well, what is the worst that can happen? What is the worst that can happen? You hear a no? I know. And Amy, I love that question. She's asking, or she's saying, worrying that they will think we're selfish, greedy, or needy. And what if they do? What if there's nothing to lose? And what would happen if you could become curious around that response instead of combative, and put your little coaching hat on and ask some curious questions around their response or what they might be feeling with that request, so that it becomes a conversation and open, as opposed to a mic drop and hearing a no and leaving. I totally get it. That fear is, it feels real, but when we can interrogate our fear, which is number 2, we often come up with just small little things. And if our response can be, what have I have to lose? What really do I have to lose? Because if I feel great about myself, if I feel strong about myself, if I feel confident in what I have to offer, and it's not for them right now, okay. So the third one is just to keep asking, because listen, how many times have you felt one way about something, and then the next day someone approaches you and maybe you've had some additional thought and you're like, oh yeah, actually I would be open to that. We make yes and no decisions based on so many things, and it's rarely logic. It could be that I'm hungry, I'm tired, I've just had a long, exhausting day, and I have no more energy for it. And if I just assume that their first response is a flat out no, I'm going to start thinking that that's on me. When instead, what if I became curious about that? So if I hear a no, first of all, how can I become curious with it? And know that success is in the numbers. I remember when I first started acting, and I remember going on my very first audition, and it became such a huge, big deal for me because it was the first audition. And you start thinking to myself, oh my gosh, what if I get this? Or what if I don't get this? Start telling yourself all kinds of small little stories. Well, it's the same thing with asking. If we don't ask enough, if we don't continue to put our offers out there, our requests out there, we start placing more and more importance on the few that we do. Yeah. I love that, Tom. I'd be curious about that. So Tom is saying, I don't like depending on others. That's why I don't like asking for anything. If I do my best to compensate them. Yeah. And I wonder, Tom, and this is just for you and I right now, if you might be shutting off the flow of someone else's need to be in a position to be able to help someone. Because I bet you've known the feeling of what it feels like to be able to help someone. And when you consistently either don't ask or don't allow someone to help, you're shutting off actually what might be able to come back around to you. I totally hear what you're saying. I know you don't like to depend on others, but sometimes it's a gift to be able to help someone and be able to feel like I'm in a position to be able to do that. Just another perspective. So keep on asking it. I'm going to come back to this one. Listen, success is in the numbers. You've got to keep putting it out there. The more you ask, the better you get at it. The first few times you are really asking, and this is for any of you entrepreneurs and or coaches, and you're asking, you're putting your stuff out there, it can feel wildly wonky and uncomfortable. But the more you do it, the easier and better you get at doing it. And you just master it with practice because you know yourself well enough, you know what you have to offer well enough, and you know what it's worth. And the fourth one is to just acknowledge the doubts. Sometimes when you put a request out there, you can honestly set some context and address the doubts that the other person might have in their head. I can understand how it might be uncomfortable with what I'm about to offer you right now, or what I'm about to offer you might sound really expensive at first. And I'll tell you why it is in just a moment. Or I'm going to ask you to help me with something that might put you in a place where you might want to say yes or no. And I want you to know that that's totally okay. So that you can address that. And when you do, when you already know what the person who you're asking might be feeling and you address it, it actually gives you some credibility at the top. People understand that you've put some thought into this request and it isn't just off the top of your head, that you're putting some time and energy into how they feel about that. It also builds trust. Again, that idea of you've thought about me in advance. You've thought about what my hurdle might be. And this might leave some room for conversation as opposed to a mic drop again on the request. And lastly, listen, people say no for all kinds of reasons that honestly, most of the time have nothing to do with you. They have their own fears. They have their own wants and desires. They have their own things that are getting in the way. And if you're a coach, you have to recognize that when you put offers out, almost every single time your potential client wants the freedom to be able to say no at first. It's why one of the things I do when I'm setting up a proposal with a potential client is, hey, if this isn't a hell yes for you, I don't think we should do this. I want to give you 24 hours to even think about this. And overnight, I want you to think about it. If you have a partner, talk about it with them. And if you can come back to me with a hell yes, then yes, let's do it. But if it's a hell no, or if it's a hell maybe, now isn't the right time. So giving your person that you're asking some power and control as opposed to pressuring. No one likes to be pressured, right? But if you receive a no, become curious. What is that no about? It's really helpful, especially if you're someone who continually puts the pressure on you thinking you're being rejected as opposed to your offers being rejected, or that the person is saying no for reasons you don't even know anything about. So become curious. Can you share with me what's behind that no? What's coming up for you right now? If you ask that, if you become curious, they might be able to give you the information that you need that would help them get to a yes. And if they do just say no, and you're someone who takes that no and makes it all about us, you can just practice saying this. It just wasn't right at this time. This offer that I just put wasn't right for them at this time, instead of I wasn't right for them, or instead of trying to make it so personal. Or you might even want to collaborate and see if there's another offer that you can extend to them. Is there something else that might be of interest to them? Again, it can become a conversation and not a mic drop request. Stay in the conversation with them. And if you really get a no and you're consistently getting no's, maybe you can just reflect on what might you be able to learn from these no's? What's coming up so often that you can learn and adjust? I love this topic. I don't know why I've just really, I think because I need to learn it so badly about rejection and the sting of it. But more often than not, I think I can handle the sting of someone else rejecting me pretty well, actually. I think that I have down. But what I'm not doing well at, and what I'm really continuing to work on, is the self-rejection. And that is the idea of I don't even put myself in the ring. I don't even do the ask, which is why I wanted to talk about 5 things to help us get to the ask. Because I think that for me, this is an area that really can grow, and I hope it is for you as well. So this topic of rejection, the shame we carry around with it, how we can redefine this, and how we can actually get stronger, desensitize ourselves around rejection, and how can we tell a better story about it. I'll probably continue talking about this for a while because it is a topic that I am fascinated by. You're going to see a blog that comes out on Tuesday. We'll have the 5 things we can do. Maybe I'll even blow it up to 6 or 7, 5 or 6 things we can do to help ourselves get to yes, or just get better at asking. And if you have any thoughts or comments on this, I'd love to hear from you. You can put it in the chat box, or you can just reach out to me at deannamoffitt.com and let me know. I'd also love to know what you want to hear from me about. If there's any topics that you're interested in, if you're a coach or someone else, please let me know. Just reach out to me. You can put it here in the chat box or reach out to me via email as well. Until then, it's Sunday night. I hope you have a great night wherever you are. It's a pleasure to see you guys in the chat box, and I'll talk to you later. Bye, everybody.